Hello everyone, and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today I will be giving a quick overview of every minifigure released in the LEGO Harry Potter line in the year of 2018, as well as all of the creatures and beasts. This video will comprise a total of 62 unique minifigures, as well as 6 duplicates, and, 6 brick-built magical beasts at a large scale, plus Fox making 7, as well as the Mirror of Erised, the Sorting Hat, and an assortment of just small pets that are included with some figures as well. So without any more further ado, let's begin. We'll be going through in a film-by-film fashion, beginning with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Of all of the films, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone receives the largest minifigure lineup at the moment as of 2018, as this film gets a total of 22 minifigures, as well as a couple of things on the side as well. And again, we're just going to be giving a very quick look at all of them. This film gets 3 different variations of Harry himself. You get the main uniformed Harry, which appears in the Harry's Journey to Hogwarts polybag, as well as the Hogwarts Great Hall. It's a pretty cool figure. You can see the Gryffindor torso here. And he gets his standard years 1 and 2 alternate face, this one being more frightened. Okay, you also get a... I'm just going to knock stuff over in this. It's okay again, pretty simple. Here is Quidditch Harry. You can see the Golden Snitch accessory, as well as his Nimbus 2000. And the only thing... And there's no unique parts to this, but he does have the Quidditch torso, which is quite nice. And I also like the long cape, which makes his uniform seem a bit ill-fitting, which works considering how young he is. The last Harry we get for this movie is an invisibility cloak Harry from the collectible minifigure series. You can see the unique single-sided face there. The cloak is this really nice iridescent material on the outside with some great patterning on the inside. And underneath, he just has his pajamas on from the restricted section seen in the movie. Moving those along, this film also gives us our first minifigure versions of Ron and Hermione for this new line. Ron, here we have again in Gryffindor uniform. This version, as of the moment, is exclusive to the Hogwarts Great Hall, although none of the parts are unique. It's just this combination where he's in his uniform. And he has 2 faces, this one that's a bit cheeky, and this alternate face where he is very frightened. That is a very Ron Weasley expression. We also see our first Hermione Granger, who appears in 3 different sets so far in casual clothing, those being the Quidditch match and Hogwarts Great Hall from the Philosopher's Stone, as well as a set from Chamber of Secrets that we'll get to later. She gets a brand new hairpiece, which is really cute and pretty perfect for Emma Watson, a face print on the front that's really cute with a bit of a knowing smile, and then an alternate face where she is quite frightened and the face is a bit misaligned. There we go. That's more like it. So, yeah. And again, this variation of Hermione comes in several sets. We also have Harry's Snowy Owl Hedwig, who is by far the most common thing in any of these sets, as she's been appearing in sets since 2010. Specifically in the new line, in 2018, she appears in 4 ways: the Harry's Journey to Hogwarts polybag, the Hogwarts Great Hall, the Hogwarts Whomping Willow set, and in the Harry Potter collectible minifigure series. She's a single mold with some nice printing. Moving on to some of our other students, we have Draco Malfoy, who is not my favorite, but the Slytherin torso is nice to get, similar to Gryffindor's, just with different colors. And the hairpiece is really good with the Widow's Peak and that yellow, but the face just doesn't look like Tom Felton to me. I don't really even know what this expression is supposed to be. I don't know if it's like a smirk or a front. I don't know what that is. The alternate face is quite aggressive, and it's also not good at all. I just feel as though LEGO didn't do a good job with the design of this figure, which is quite unfortunate. Our next student is Seamus Finnegan, and some of you might be confused because he comes in the Hogwarts Whomping Willow, which is a Chamber of Secrets set, but he has his hair all spiky, which is from when he blows himself up, which is from a scene, or, well, actually 2 different scenes, rather, in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So even though he was in Chamber of Secrets, this variant of him fits best here. You can see that he again has the Gryffindor torso, standard spiky hair, and an alternate face, one frowny, and one smiley. This is not exclusive to the Harry Potter line. It also appears on other young boy figures and other lines, a major one being Jurassic World. Our last young first year in this movie so far is Susan Bones from Hufflepuff, who gets a unique torso with the Hufflepuff colors. The hairpiece is also unique in this orange color, which is pretty cute, and a lot of people actually confused this figure for Ginny when they first saw her. Her face is similar to Seamus's in that it's a print that has appeared quite a lot in other lines, again mainly Jurassic World, and isn't Harry Potter specific, but it's still pretty cute, and in fact both of their faces are actually recolors of city faces that they've just put onto the standard flesh heads, which is very interesting to me. The series does also include a couple of older Harry Potter Hogwarts students for year 1. This first one being 5th year Oliver Wood, who has the same torso Harry had, with a much more serious face that looks a lot like the actor, but was actually designed for Resistance troopers for The Force Awakens and Star Wars. And he just gets a broom and a tousled hairpiece, single-sided face. For our Slytherin team, we get Chaser Marcus Flint, who is a 6th year in the Philosopher's Stone, but is still at Hogwarts in the Prisoner of Azkaban. So either J.K. Rowling moved him back to a 5th year after publishing the books for the first movie, so he would have been a 7th year in Harry's 3rd year, or he just flunked and had to retake his last year. Who knows? But anyway, he gets a unique broom that has a stud shooter built onto the end so he can fire off the quaffle, since he is a chaser in addition to being the Slytherin captain. He gets a torso similar to the one we had on Harry and Wood, but in dark green for Slytherin. And he gets a bowl cut hairpiece and a very dumb single-sided face. Our last Quidditch player here is a figure that is officially called Lucian Bowl, although judging by how he looks and just the fact that they chose to include him, it's much more likely that this figure is meant to represent Seeker Terrence Higgs, who I believe was a 7th year in Harry's first year, as he was gone in the Chamber of Secrets. He has the same torso as Flint, and his face is one that has appeared in several other lines, including Pirates of the Caribbean and Marvel superheroes, to name a few. Sorry about that, the camera cut out, but he gets 2 faces, one with this very frightened expression, and the other being a much more cocky smirk. Okay, moving on to our non-staff figures that are still adults. We get wand seller Mr. Ollivander, who gets a very similar torso and face print to his 2011 design from the direct-to-consumer Diagon Alley set, but they are new. He uses the Doc Brown hairpiece in light gray, and he gets an alternate face where he is very frightened, which fits much better with his predicament in Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows. I forgot to mention earlier, but we do get Scabbers, who currently appears in this version in 2 sets for Harry Potter, that being the Hogwarts Great Hall and the Hogwarts Express we'll get to later, although he has appeared in several other sets from other lines, including the LEGO Movie 2, Marvel Superheroes, and even LEGO City. And you can see that it's a pretty nice mold, with some simple printing for his beady eyes. We also have the Sorting Hat, which is a single new piece with a molded face. Pretty cool looking. and it's from the Hogwarts Great Hall. Next up, we have the Trolley Witch with her trolley. You might be confused, since much like Seamus, the Trolley Witch doesn't hail from a Philosopher's Stone set. Rather, she comes from the Hogwarts Express, which this time around is from Prisoner of Azkaban. However, the Trolley Witch never appears in that movie. The only movies she appears in are Philosopher's Stone and Goblet of Fire, and this design of her as sort of this very old witch with the red and pink outfit and this curly hair is clearly based on Philosopher's Stone. She gets two faces, one that's very sort of smiley, and the other one where she's very frightened, which fits with the narrative of this set, which has the Dementor attack on the Express. Although a fun fact to mention is that the Trolley Witch did appear in the Prisoner of Azkaban Hogwarts Express level in LEGO Harry Potter Years 1 through 4. So I guess you could connect this to Prisoner of Azkaban through that. Our next figure is Gryffindor Ghost, Nearly Headless Nick, who cannot be nearly headless, so I guess he's just Nick. He has the same hairpiece as Ollivander. The torso and legs have this really nice silvery design, which give him a very unique and moderately ethereal feel, which works pretty well considering that he is a ghost. And it just looks really nice, and that is on the back as well. The face is really good on the front, and the back has this much more sad frown, which I guess could work for when he's petrified in Chamber of Secrets. Now, in general, this figure definitely isn't entirely accurate, as in the Harry Potter universe, ghosts are sort of transparent blue, like Force ghosts in Star Wars, rather than just having this sort of monochromatic black and white color scheme, but I really like this design for Nick. Next up, we have Quidditch instructor Madam Hooch, who only appears in Film 1, surprisingly. And you can see that she has the hairpiece that LEGO has used for a lot of characters, including the Joker, and, well, some others that just aren't coming to me, but it's that hairpiece. She gets a two-sided face, one with goggles, and one without. You'll notice that the one without has normal minifigure eyes, while the one with goggles has sort of the yellow beady eyes underneath, which is interesting. And her torso is just as such. Kind of a bland figure, considering that this is the third version of her, with not much variation from the second one to this, but she's still cool to get in this new line. Next up is a very important character to the series, Severus Snape, who has the Prince of Persia Dastan hairpiece in black, a new face print, this side looking very angry, and the other one being very inquisitive with a raised eyebrow, which works perfectly for Alan Rickman, a fantastic likeness there. The purple on the torso is interesting, as to my knowledge that never is seen in any of the movies, and that's kind of just to add visual interest, although this isn't the first time they've done it, as LEGO has been using purple on Snape's color scheme ever since 2001, and the versions of Snape released in 2004 and 2007 also had purple in the design, so it's kind of cool to see that carried through. And then just some very simple back printing. Minerva McGonagall is another major Hogwarts professor and main character throughout the series. She gets the wizard's hat in black, double-sided face that works very well for actress Maggie Smith, one side being quite smiley, and the other quite stern. She comes in the Hogwarts Great Hall, and I forgot to mention, but Nick also hails from the Great Hall. Snape comes in the Quidditch match and the Whomping Willow, which we'll get to later. Mr. Ollivander comes in the Diagon Alley Gift with Purchase set. And Madam Hooch comes in the Bricktober Barnes & Noble set. Anyway, moving on. Next up we have Professor Quirinus Quirrell, who has a nice torso print and a lavender turban. The face is a bit nervous looking, and on the back we of course have Lord Voldemort. A very spooky face. I like how it's even a bit lopsided to really get across the idea that he's just unnaturally peeping off the back of Quirrell's skull. Really cool figure. And he's from the Great Hall as well. All of these last few things here are also from the Great Hall. Here we have Rubeus Hagrid, who comes in this set, the Great Hall. And he's really cool. He gets a new beard piece, and that's his face underneath. But he also gets a newly molded whole body torso piece that you insert standard minifigure short legs into the bottom of, as well as special arms that attach with Technic pins. And he gets a lantern and his magic umbrella. Our last minifigure for Philosopher's Stone is Albus Dumbledore, again from the Great Hall, who has gray hair, which isn't entirely accurate to actor Richard Harris, who portrayed him, but it still gets the job done, I feel. You can see that, and if I remove the hair and the beard, you can see that he, underneath, has some pretty detailed torso and leg printing, as well as a double-sided face, one side smiling with glasses, the other frowning without. Our last thing for the Philosopher's Stone is this build for the Mirror of Erised, which is really cool because we actually get 4 different panes for it with 4 different figures. Here you can see Harry Potter with his parents Lily and James, and at the back we have Albus Dumbledore with a pair of nice woolen socks. Then on a separate extra pane we get Professor Quirrell holding the Philosopher's Stone to present it to his master, and Ron Weasley as Quidditch captain and head boy, standing above all of his brothers. So that is everything from the Philosopher's Stone. Definitely quite a lot for this one movie, but it does make sense since it is where it all began. So therefore, obviously, a lot of stuff that LEGO makes is going to be from the Philosopher's Stone. But that's that. So now let's move on to our next film, and the other one that LEGO mainly focused on in this lineup, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Chamber of Secrets receives a more modest 10 minifigures, especially considering how 2 of them are just reprints from the Philosopher's Stone. However, it kind of makes up for it by including an assortment of different creatures and beasts. Starting off in the center, we have one of the most memorable characters from the film, Dobby the House Elf, who appeared in the collectible minifigure series. He has a brand new head mold with printing for his eyes and mouth, which are not in the standard minifigure style. He comes with a sock, as well as the punctured diary of Tom Riddle. The sock normally goes inside the diary, but I prefer to just put a standard tile in there so we can have him hold both. And he gets a new style of short legs, which are double molded through the center, and some pretty cool torso printing. Next up, we do get some new versions of Ron and Harry. This Ron comes from the Whomping Willow and has him in a tan sweater with a red undershirt. Nothing too complex, but it's cool. From that same set, we get a Harry Potter with this red checkered flannel with a blue t-shirt underneath. Again, nothing too complex, but it's cool to get these outfits that are only in specific scenes. Nice to get that level of detail. Oh, and that set also includes a head wig. You know what else that set includes is our Chamber of Secrets Hermione, who, as I mentioned previously, is the same one that appears in the Quidditch match in Hogwarts Great Hall sets. It's just in a Chamber of Secrets set now. We do also get more Harry and Ron variants. This Ron being from Aragog's Lair, and he'll also appear in a Prisoner of Azkaban set, funnily. You can see here he gets a lantern, as well as this sort of hooded jacket with the plaid design. You can also see at the back, well, not really plaid, but just, the checkered design. Yeah. We also get Harry with a candle and this blue zip-up with a blue flannel underneath. Yeah. Oh, and we also get Snape, who is just the same as in Quidditch match. Still a cool figure, though. And finally, moving into some more unique characters, we get our Draco Malfoy from the CMF, who is based on his Quidditch appearance from the Chamber of Secrets. His Nimbus 2001 broomstick is represented by a dark green broom, which is not 100% accurate, but it's cool. And he does also get the snitch. This is kind of a lame figure for a CMF because the torso is exactly the same as in the set, so aside from the broom, the only exclusive piece is his face, which looks more like Tom Felton, but it's still not perfect. Just that little line on the side of the mouth. If they'd taken that off, this face would have been pretty much perfect, but it's there, so the figure isn't perfect. Also, I like the short cape, because it is inconsistent with Harry and the Philosopher's Stone, and that's probably just because they didn't want to make two different cape sizes for the standard retail set, but they were willing to for the CMF. But it kind of goes to sort of make it seem like Draco's uniform fits better, which could either go to say that he's richer and therefore he just was able to buy himself a new pair of robes that weren't designed for someone larger than him, or more likely, and what I see it as, is just he's a second year and Harry was a first year, so even if he still uses short legs, he would still be larger than Harry was in first year. Anyway, definitely my two favorite figures, aside from Dobby in Chamber of Secrets, though, are these two. The first being Neville, who comes with a mandrake, also in a pot, which I just left behind. That's a pretty cool pair of new pieces with some printing on it. Neville's torso is nice, with the sort of herbology uniform over his standard Hogwarts getup. He gets this hairpiece with the earmuffs molded in, and he gets a two-sided face, one with just a sort of standard nervous expression, and the other one where he's been KO'd by the Mandrake Scream. And he's from the CMF. Our last minifigure for Chamber of Secrets is Argus Filch from the Whomping Willow. He gets a lantern, a torso, which is pretty cool, as well as legs printed with the continuation of his coat, and some keys. The back is pretty simple. He uses the William Shakespeare hairpiece, but with dark gray hair to sort of give him the illusion, and with some printing up top, so he looks like he's just balding rather than being fully bald up top, and it's really cool. He has a double-sided face print, and both expressions are very good for the actor. This one where he's just sort of inquisitive, and this one where he is quite aggressive. Again, both faces are really good in my opinion. And while those are all of the minifigures, we do also get some new creatures. Starting off with the biggest one, we get Aragog from Aragog's Lair, who gets some printed eyes and articulation for the pincers. Each of the legs, which can move up and down, as well as in and out if you want to, for more poses. And the abdomen at the back can move up and down. Yeah, he looks pretty cool in my opinion. Something that doesn't look pretty cool, though, is this basilisk, which is just bad. Do I even have to explain this? It's black with tons of two different colors of gray showing through. There's just all sorts of gaps in it, like it doesn't look connected up at all. The head is just wimpy. I mean, come on, there really isn't anything good about this. And there's no real way to get it to stand up, which is why in the intro I had it leaning on something else, and here I just had it lying down. And it's from the Great Hall. Luckily, the Great Hall isn't all bad for beasts, as we also get a brick-built version of Dumbledore's Phoenix, Fawkes, which looks really good. You get the plume up top and the beak, the wings, the long tail, everything, and you can twist it at the head, so you can have him look around, and you can also move the wings, which is the most useful articulation, so you could sort of bend them both back, if they will bend back. I've just broken the entire figure, but that's okay. But yeah, you can just bend Fox's wings back to give the illusion that he is flying, which looks pretty good. Our last two creatures are just these two spiders in nougat and black. These are meant to represent Aragog's children, and while they are just the standard minifig spider pieces, you often forget that the minifigure spiders are pretty big in comparison to a minifigure, so these still kind of work. The nougat one you get 3 of in Aragog's Lair, and the black one you get 2 of in Aragog's Lair, but they make up for it by also including 1 in the Hogwarts Great Hall. So that is the Chamber of Secrets. So now let's move on to the last of the films of the Harry Potter films to get any set representation in this first wave, that being Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Despite having less sets than the Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban manages to outstrip it in terms of minifigures with a total of 13. Let it be noted, though, that 2 of them are just reprints from the Chamber of Secrets. Those being this Harry and Ron, who are the same ones that were in Aragog's lair, and here they pop up in the Hogwarts Express. No idea why they used these versions, since these are completely inaccurate to the costumes they were wearing in the scene. I mean, I guess the budget must have just ran out. These are more accurate than the ones that were in the Whomping Willow set, at least, so if you were going to have to do a reuse, these were the good choices. We do get an exclusive character variant from the Hogwarts Express, though, that being Hermione Granger, who gets this unique sweatshirt torso, which is pretty cute. I like the striping, and yeah, I know that it's for Prisoner of Azkaban Hermione, but again, this POA set just used the Years 1 and 2 versions, and I think this torso works really well with that little cute Hermione. Oh, and that Ron also gets a trolley with 2 suitcases and scabbers. Moving on to the collectible minifigure series, here is our Year 3 Hermione from that, and Year 3 is where LEGO starts using the mid-legs. Outside of the Hogwarts Express set, I don't really know why they decided to just... I don't know why the Hogwarts Express was a POA set in general, as it probably should have been Philosopher's Stone or Chamber of Secrets so that the figures wouldn't have been an oddity. But anyway, so this is our more standard height for our Prisoner of Azkaban figures, although the hairpiece on Hermione is not the same one that they'd use in the... who's in 2019 for Prisoner of Azkaban, which is interesting. But yeah, the face print is just an aged-up version of the Years 1 and 2 face with some lipstick added, which is nice. And yeah, she has robes on, which are pinned neatly. You have the Gryffindor badge, and you can actually see her jumper underneath, which is a nice touch. And on the back underneath her hair, there is a hood. And she also comes with her cat Crookshanks, who really needed new mold. This doesn't really work for Crookshanks. This cat's just too lean. It needed to be wider, if you catch my drift. Sorry, but hit my camera, but Prisoner of Azkaban also gets us a new Harry with open robes, and again an aged-up version of his Year 1 and 2 face, and skater hair. Hood on the back. Again, a really nice high-quality looking figure. And he gets our final Hedwig for this video. Then we get Ron with some very messy open robes and a hairpiece that is very accurate to his appearance in the movie. Hood at the back. Yeah, just a trio for the minifigure series and for Prisoner of Azkaban. Some really fantastic looking figures, in my opinion. Oh, and you also get Scabbers, who is different from the other 2 versions. Because he has the little patch of fur missing on his head, which is a nice touch. We do get one more student for this movie, that being Dean Thomas, in robes with the Gryffindor scarf and a flag. And there's his hood at the back, partially covered by his scarf. This is a really cool figure as well, and really well detailed. It's just of a far less important character. Moving on to some of our all-new characters for this, we have Professor Phileas Flitwick. We still haven't gotten a version of him based on Years 1 and 2, but here's a new version for the Prisoner of Azkaban, with his open vest, a big bow tie, a fabric waist cape, his megaphone for teaching choir, and a big ol' mustache. And this guy kind of reminds me of Theodore Roosevelt and how his face looks. Oh, and you get a new hairpiece, which is good. Professor Sybil Trelawney gets a new hairpiece, which is combined with her wrap. You also get a new teacup piece and a new tea saucer piece, so lots of great new parts with her. Some cool sand green printing on her torso and dress, and her glasses magnify her eyes, So she's a very unique looking figure, and I just really like it. Great design from the CMF. From the Harry Potter Bricktober set, we get this figure of Snape. Just realized I left the crow in here because that's how I display it, but that's not included. And this is actually Bogart Snape from the Prisoner of Azkaban. So this isn't Snape actually, it's just the Bogart taking his form in Neville's grandmother's clothes. You get a handbag, a cat scarf, a big hat, and the face is the same one that we get in the normal Snape figure. Just for some reason the print here is a bit bigger and the lines are a bit thicker. Don't really know why. Might just be a thing from the factory they made these in, which is different from the standard printing factory. But yes, there's that. Okay, then from the CMF again, we get Albus Dumbledore with a new hair hat combo and a new beard piece. This is based on an outfit he wears several times in Prisoner of Azkaban. His accessory is not from the movie, though. It's the pensieve from Goblet of Fire. But anyway, yeah, this is a really great design for the second actor to portray Dumbledore, Michael Gambon. And underneath of his exclusively molded beard, you do get some pretty great printing on the torso, as well as a nice face print. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Our last two figures are both from the Hogwarts Express. This first one is Professor Remus John Lupin, who gets this cool swept-aside hairpiece to give him a rather unkempt look, while still managing to look somewhat fashionable. Amazing how he does that. The face is interesting because, while the mustache is accurate to Prisoner of Azkaban, the stubble that you can see around the side is actually from Order of the Phoenix, which is an interesting choice. So it's not accurate to this movie, really, but it will be accurate if they include Lupin in an Order of the Phoenix set, which is pretty possible. The torso is nicely detailed. It's all raggedy and torn up, since Lupin is a werewolf, after all. So it makes sense. He gets a suitcase as an accessory, and speaking of his lycanthropy, he does get an alternate face, where he's beginning to transform with sharpened teeth and an yellow-eyed expression. Our final figure for this movie is the Dementor, again from the Hogwarts Express, which is a really unique-looking figure, with the evil, gaping mouth to present the kiss, the sort of icky design of the robes, which are just clinging to his skeletal ribs, and you get this shadowy ghost tail piece along with a torn cloak. And that is the last of the main Harry Potter movies to get a really good amount of minifigures. The rest of them each have a pretty pitiful amount, so let's just get through all of them at once. Moving from left to right, we get 3 figures for Goblet of Fire, 1 minifigure plus a beast for Order of the Phoenix, 2 minifigures for the Half-Blood Prince, and just 1 minifigure for Deathly Hallows Part 2 specifically. So no minifigures currently for the first Deathly Hallows film. But anyway, starting with Goblet, we get Hogwarts champion Cedric Diggory with the Triwizard Cup, which is not very accurate at all, but it's a nice looking accessory at least, even if it's not too accurate to the material. You get these legs with some nice stripes printed on the side for his pants. The torso is good with the yellow and black and the Hogwarts crest. Diggory on the back. A single-sided face that has a good likeness to Robert Pattinson, who portrayed him. In some aspects, like the eyes and eyebrows, but the mouth I just don't like. The hairpiece is really good, though. Good figure overall, definitely. We also get his girlfriend, Cho Chang, who is looking quite pink here. Yeah, I don't know why her skin tone is so dark. She really just should have had the standard light nougat that they use for, like, Daniel Radcliffe's Harry Potter, for example, and, just most of the figures in this line. The hairpiece is good, though. The torso really doesn't feel very collectible. Forgot to mention she and Cedric are both from the CMF. But yeah, it doesn't feel especially collectible, since it's just a Ravenclaw version of the Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff torso that appear in normal sets, but it's nice to get at least. And the skirt just doesn't look good to me. They should have found some way to print it onto the legs, like just print gray across the top, because this just doesn't work, especially considering just how far it goes down. Like, maybe if the skirt went down only like halfway down the legs, I would be fine with it, but this goes down too far. It just looks bad. Mid-legs are good though, but yeah. Honestly, aside from Draco, I think Cho might be my least favorite figure of all of these, which is quite unfortunate. Our last figure for Goblet is Ex-Auror Mad-Eye Moody, with his walking stick and a brand newly molded hairpiece. You can see his face there with the eye and the magic eye. His torso with all the buckles, and then he gets 2 legs, one normal and one silver, where the silver one is because of his metal leg, but then on the other side we don't have his boot at the bottom and just more of his pants. And we can transform him and reveal him as Barty Crouch Jr. with an alternate face and an alternate hairpiece, and a vial of Polyjuice Potion. Really cool figure. And really kind of a 2-in-1, which is nice. Oh, and Cho also gets this generic owl, I guess because she needed an accessory. For Order of the Phoenix, we get the Thestral, which I know comes in a set for Crimes of Grindelwald, but the only reason they were in that movie was for pure fan service, so I'm just including it with the film it is being fan service too. Well, the film and the book, really, but all the sets are based on the films. It's a really great mold for a skeleton horse. You can see all the joints there, as well as some printing on the head. The wings are double molded, and you have that sort of semi-clear area, which is really cool looking. I mean, yeah, that's just an awesome Thestral, and probably definitely my favorite one of any of the animal/beasts of this first wave. I do really like when LEGO does do the brick-built beasts, like we've seen already and will continue to see in a minute, but I'm not gonna lie, I just love the look of this. Like, this is my favorite molded LEGO animal as well. This is basically just my favorite LEGO animal. Anyway, I just knocked over our other Order of the Phoenix thing, which is a minifigure of Dolores Jane Umbridge. She comes in the Bricktober minifigure set. She gets a teacup, and I love the design on her legs with her skirt and the shoes. This is fantastic. The little patterning. This is honestly probably one of the best minifigures from this whole series, and probably one of the best of 2018 in general. Up top, we have her sort of fuzzy, open... I don't really know what you'd call that, sorry, but, you know, the sort of open jumper, I guess, with the little kitten brooch, and she gets some curly hair and a double-sided face, one that's quite happy, fake happy, and the other one being very stern. Moving on to Half-Blood Prince, we get Luna Lovegood in her outfit from the Hogwarts Express scene in that movie. She gets a quibbler, a purple shoulder bag, some very nice printing on her skirt that allows me to excuse the fact that it still goes down too far, but it looks way better than Cho's did. The torso is good. She has a brand newly molded hairpiece that goes over the bag, and a double-sided face, one normal, and with that general Luna Lovegood sense of not caring at all. And this other face with the Spectre specs, which have some nice swirly detailing in them, and some nice patterning on the gold part as well, the rims. We also get Professor Horace Slughorn with a vial of some green potion, a nice design for his waistcoat underneath his dark orange jacket. He has some some dark gray hair with light gray sideburns, and he gets a double-sided face, a happy face, very jovial, fitting his character, and this one where he's not so happy, probably when Harry's pressing him about Horcruxes. Our last figure for any of the Harry Potter films comes from Deathly Hallows Part 2, and it is Lord Voldemort, aka Tom Marvolo Riddle. If you're wondering why this has to be Deathly Hallows Part 2, it's because the dark green robes hail from that movie. The face looks quite bored here, and in general, the figure is kind of bland, so kind of unfortunate that for the Harry Potter part of this video, this is where we're leaving off. But there are still some nice details here on the face. The robes are extremely simple, though, just some black lines for the most part, but the accessories are good. You get a white wand, and a new mold for his serpent Nagini, who even gets some cute little eye printing. And while it is all for Harry Potter, we do also have some figures for the Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. Well, currently duology, so let's get to those as well. 2016's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them interestingly gives us the exact same amount of offerings as the Chamber of Secrets did. That being 10 minifigures as well as 5 different beasts, 3 brick-built, and 2 being molded pieces. Don't get too excited, though, as one of those molded beasts is a green stock piece, here called Picket the Bowtruckle. Yeah, I don't see the resemblance. But anyway, here's our first Newt figure. There are only 2 ways that any of these Fantastic Beasts figures were released. This and 3 others were released in the set 75952, Newt's Case of Magical Creatures, and the other 6 were part of the CMF series. So here's this first Newt. The face print works pretty well for Eddie Redmayne, actually. I like the design. The alternate face is quite frightened, which I think works pretty good as well. And notice how the back of the vest is printed entirely in a brown to represent it just being made in a different color, which is cool. Our other Newt is in a blue overcoat. He gets a new suitcase piece with some gold locks open up. He's from the CMF. He gets this very jovial face print. The hairpiece, I didn't mention on the first version, but the hairpiece I don't like. It doesn't work at all, in my opinion. But he gets a nice torso print with a much more accurate version of Pickett that's just printed on. Some nice double-molded legs. Yeah. Oh, and his accessory besides the suitcase and wand is a niffler. And we get one of these in each of the 2 ways we get Newt. So with both figures we get one. And it's just a cute little double-molded piece with some printed eyes. Next up we have Jacob Kowalski. Here's the one from the CMF. His suitcase has a couple of pastries inside. He has a nice torso print with his waistcoat being stretched by his rather round figure. He has a face print with a nice expression. No alternate face and no back printing, but the hairpiece is good. His other variant from the suitcase has him in armor to protect him from the erumpent. He gets an umbrella, and this face is a bit, well, it's a pretty normal face, honestly. A bit nonchalant, really. And he does get an alternate face and a helmet to go with it, so we can have him running away, and there is a chin strap on this face, so unfortunately you can only use it with the helmet. And it's dumb because you can totally use the helmet with any face without the chin strap, but with it, and you're suddenly completely limited to just the helmet, which is a bit lame in my opinion, and I wish they just hadn't included the chin strap on either face print, but oh well. Next up we have Jacob's love interest, Queenie Goldstein. Here's her version from the suitcase. The printed shoes are interesting, and I think they were kind of necessary for this design, so I'm fine with them. The torso is fantastic with all that nice sort of metallic pink detailing. The hairpiece is good and curly, and the face is double-sided, this one being quite frightened, which I think is the better one, and this one being overly ecstatic, with even her eyes closed, which isn't a face I'm particularly fond of. Her other variant is from the CMF, and I think this is probably easily the worst Fantastic Beasts figure of the 10 we have here for this first movie. The face doesn't look anything like the actress. The torso is fine. I really like it, actually, but the legs are just so poorly done with that terrible skin printing to try and create the dress going up above the double molding line, as you can see here, and it just doesn't work. I do like her strudel accessory, though. Her sister Tina definitely works better as a figure. Here's her suitcase variant, with a nice torso print and a great face print, which actually hails from her LEGO Dimensions version first. Obviously, I'm not including the LEGO Dimensions versions here, as those are extensions of the original 2010-2011 LEGO Harry Potter reboot line, as opposed to the 2018 reboot. But the face print is used on both, which is interesting. This face is a fantastic likeness to the actress, while this one is a bit annoyed, probably annoyed because it doesn't work as well for her. Also because this face has been used in other licenses besides just Harry Potter / Fantastic Beasts. Oh, and then she gets a teacup with a lid. More on that in a minute. Our other Tina comes with a New York-style hot dog and is a full-on update of her Dimensions version. This figure hails from the CMF, so she gets this sand blue overcoat, like Newt, with double-molded legs. And it just looks really nice. This face is a bit annoyed. Would have been a nice touch if she'd had a bit of mustard printed on her upper lip from this scene, though then it would have been a bit awkward because the sausage itself doesn't have any mustard on it. This alternate face is just a bit smiley. It's interesting because of the 4 Fantastic Beasts heroes in the CMF, Tina's the only one with an alternate face. If I had to guess, this is because all of the other characters get 2 new face prints in the CMF, while Tina gets squat because, again, her face is reused from Dimensions. And this hat hair combo is really good, with the dark brown just being printed onto this entirely blue piece, which is mainly, of course, her hat. It works really well, though. Our last 2 characters are our 2 antagonists, both from the CMF. First is Credence Barebone, who is an Obscurial. He has a pamphlet for the Second Salemers declaring that witches live among us. That's a really finely printed tile. I like that. The torso is really well done. Nothing too complex, but it just works well in it for the style. This face is really cool with the sort of metallic-y look in the eyes. And he has this alternate face, which just works well for actor Ezra Miller. Like, this is not a super complex minifigure, but I really like it. It's a really classy-looking one. Here we have Percival Graves, who was our super rare figure from the CMF, only 1 in every 60 packs. He looks pretty cool with the hair printed gray, and on the back you can see that he can be transformed with an alternate hairpiece into Gellert Grindelwald. This having a pretty good likeness to Johnny Depp and being the best Grindelwald figure. Spoilers, I guess. Going through our 3 beasts quickly, these make up a pretty sizable portion of my review of the suitcase set, but again, just going through them quickly. The Alchemy has a bunch of different ball joints making it up, flappable wings, which are pink, and some great printing on the head, and the jaw can open. The Thunderbird has the same headpiece, the jaw can also open, some great printing, the wings are fantastic with that metallic gold. You get a couple stickers up top. And actually, 3 different sets of wings throughout. And articulation here at this tail. The head is on a ball joint again, as well as ball joints at both the thigh and at the ankle. Our last suitcase beast, which is, these are all buildable if you're blind, I guess. This is the Erumpent, which has the sort of magma design going on for the head, which is on a ball joint. The legs can each move back and forth, and the feet are each hinged. Yeah, this is probably the least interesting, but it still works really well, and it has a good amount of heft to it, so you could really imagine this doing some damage. Or heck, again, it has heft to it, like a good amount, so you could actually use this to do some damage. And those are all of the figures and beasts for the first Fantastic Beasts. So let's move on to the just 2 minifigures for the second film, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Currently, we have just 2 minifigures for Fantastic Beasts' Crimes of Grindelwald, and due to the movie's very poor reception, it's possible that we won't get many figures more for the movie, if any at all. Anyway, so on the right, we have Madame Seraphina Picquery, president of MACUSA, which is essentially the American Ministry of Magic. She's barely even in the second movie, so it's interesting that they chose to include her. She gets a purple wand, and the two figures in the one Crimes of Grindelwald set get a power blast for some reason. She has a sand blue dress, a nice torso print, and the face is cool, and the hair printed on the actual minifigure head is something we see very rarely from LEGO now, so that's interesting. The other figure is Johnny Depp himself, and this figure is way worse than Percival Graves. Like, I think LEGO might have intentionally made the face bad just to make the CMF figure more desirable, because this is terrible. Like, the gray eye is so poorly done it almost looks like it's black like the other one, and his face is just super blank. And then this other one is a nonsensical expression and all wrinkly. The torso is fine, but the legs are just really terrible. Easily the worst leg printing in 2018, honestly, let's be real. This is I would say that this is easily, forget Cho, forget Draco from the CMF, forget Quidditch, Draco, yeah, that's what I just said. This is the worst figure from any of these sets. It's terrible. Honestly, this is the biggest crime of Grindelwald, especially since the movie Crimes of Grindelwald didn't tell us about a single crime Grindelwald committed. So, like, yeah, I'm calling it. This is the true crime of Grindelwald. This right here. Okay, and well, that is all for all of our Wizarding World films. We do have 4 final minifigures to look at before we wrap this video up, so let's do that. These final 4 figures are Hogwarts founders Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Salazar Slytherin, and Rowena Ravenclaw from the Hogwarts Castle direct-to-consumer set, a set that I have very recently reviewed, and I'll be quick with these guys since they really don't connect to anything aside from that set since they've been dead for like 1,000 years and aren't in any of the movies or anything. Gryffindor has some nice orange hair, a single-sided face, nice torso print, the legs are a bit faded but they're fine, and his sword is lame. Helga has her cup, which was later turned into a Horcrux. Really great printing on the torso and dress, both front and back. Love this figure in all its detail. The hair is good. She gets a two-sided face. One with this nice cocky smile, and another that's just a bit more normal. Next we get Salazar Slytherin. Weird how he's canonically bald as a real living person, but the bust of him in the second movie has him with hair. Underneath on his torso, you get his printed locket, which was also turned into a Horcrux, and you have this nice snaky pattern. Single-sided face because he's bald. Last figure of all of them, best figure in the direct-to-consumer set, Rowena Ravenclaw. Hairpiece is good, diadem printed on the head. 2 faces, one smiley, one when she loses a game of Kahoot. Oh, the skin tone printed on the torso is pretty bad, and like the design for the little bone structure at the top, I don't know what you'd call that really, but you know, like the 2 lines at the top of that are in dark blue on her skin, which is weird, but other than that, I love the design on the dress, especially that pattern underneath with the light blue. There we go. That is every minifigure from the 2018 lineup. I really don't feel like getting them all back together for a final shot. So you know what, if you want to look at that, just rewind back to the beginning of the video and take a look at all of the figures lined up nice and neat. Because I'm not doing that again, that took a while and was very boring. Plus I'm like tired or whatever. So thank you all so much for watching this kind of long video. I mean, if you did, I have no way of knowing if you watched the video. I mean, I guess I could just look at the amount of views it got, but I don't really know if you, personally, you that I'm talking to are watching, but obviously if you're not, you wouldn't be hearing this message, so I mean, hey, if you're hearing this message, thank you for watching the video. Don't know why you did it, but you certainly did, and I'll see you all in the next one, which will be coming at a point. Farewell, you.